Welcome everyone to this Dagath guide, where I'll attempt to pour my very limited knowledge directly into your brain, so you can enjoy a couple more ways of playing this criminally underrated Warframe. As usual, the builds I'm showing today require a completely unreasonable amount of investment, and the small detail of actually having most of the game unlocked. So, very beginner friendly obviously. So, what is Dagath all about? She's a DPS Warframe that can prime enemies with viral, execute them with true damage, hit absurd numbers thanks to her crit damage buffs, become practically immortal with barely any downtime, and apparently she is also racing horses, because Warframe lower riders were going through something, I guess. Her base kit is already strong enough to clear basically any content in the game, and she reaches damage caps and nukes rooms so easily it generally feels like DE forgot to test her. You're about to see 3 different builds, 2 melee focused builds and 1 weapon platform build. In order: Harmony with Melee Doughty for absolutely illegal damage, Invisible plus Immortal weapon platform, and Dual Ichor, press E once and the zip code disappears. Anyway, let's quickly go over what her abilities actually do before the screen fills with red crit and emotional damage. Her passive causes 1 out of every 3 health or energy orbs to triple their effect with absolutely no cooldown, which means equilibrium is no longer mandatory. Nature is healing. Her first ability creates homing blades around Dagath that apply viral, slowing enemies up to 95% and spread the effect of her second ability, which is nice because aiming is exhausting. Speaking of the second ability, this one deals even more viral damage and applies doom to enemies. A portion of the damage they receive gets re-triggered automatically, and if that damage would kill them, the game basically goes, yeah alright, fair enough. Her third ability is where things start becoming slightly balanced. It allows Dagath to spread doom through weapons and abilities, massively boosts critical damage, especially against cursed enemies, and gives her a second life if she dies. When that happens, Dagath enters spectral form, becomes invulnerable for a short duration, and afterwards the ability goes on a 25-second cooldown. Now, the Augment Spectral Spirit automatically triggers Spectral Form and reduces its cooldown by 1 second per kill outside of Spectral Form. Unfortunately, this Augment is
mandatory.
Not
recommended.
Mandatory. DE looked at this Augment and said, what if this was just part of the ability but we charge a mod slot for it? Finally, her fourth ability summons a cavalry charge of ghost horses that trample everything in front of them. It can deal disgusting amounts of damage, and it's absolutely worth building around. But today it's getting sent directly into the Helminth zone for all our builds. Alright, buckle up, because these builds have a little bit of spice to them. Starting with Archon Shards, we used 2 Violet, or 1, for the equilibrium effect, 2 max energy, and 1 casting speed so Dagath stopped feeling like she's casting abilities underwater. But as always, use whatever you have and whatever feels comfortable. We use Empowered Blades in the auto slot to increase both status chance and status damage on heavy attacks. You will see why in a second. Our Helminth ability is Wrathful Advance, mainly for the passive flat crit chance bonus. Spectral Spirit and Arcane Concentration are mandatory, while the rest is fairly flexible, but this is what I recommend. High Strength, High Duration, Health Conversion so we don't instantly explode while Spectral Form is down, and Arcane Strike so our melee weapon doesn't swing like it's emotional tired. For the melee itself, Harmony with Melee Doughty. Melee Doughty increases critical damage based on your puncture status chance, which means Galvanized Elementalist, Jugulous Barbs, Whipping Wounds and Melee Prowess are all mandatory here. The rest is pretty straightforward. Condition Overload for damage, Blood Rush for more crit chance, and as much range as possible because personal space is sacred. You can use Rauta with multi-shot, magazine size and fire rate to build combo from a range, but honestly it's not even required. Any dexterity arcane works fine to maintain combo duration unless you use Naramon, in which case congratulations, you're free to go, collect your 200. Finally, we use a Dormohound as our main primer alongside secondary Encumber to stack even more statuses. Neither is mandatory, but together they turn enemies into a scientific experiment. And yes, this build is completely overkill. You don't even need half of this setup to hit millions of damage. This is basically Warframe min-maxing brainrot. So, quick summary: lots of strength and duration on Dagath, tons of status shards on Harmony for higher crit damage, and something that primes enemies to increase your base damage. Gameplay loop: get to 12 times combo, cast your third ability, then your first and second to spread doom, wait for Tenokai to proc, use Wrathful advance, and enjoy the giant red numbers that make your GPU nervous. For this one, we use Growing Power in the Aura slot for a permanent 25% strength bonus, and Crepuscular for another 30% strength and crit multiplier to our weapons. To activate Crepuscular, we use Evade as our Helminth ability. Everything else stays mostly the same, except now health conversion is mandatory, and here's why. Since we're using Primary Bulwark on our primary weapon, we need around 1500 armor. Dagath has 125 base armor, and 3 stacks of health conversion give us around 1300, bringing us to almost 1500 armor total. Which means plus 475% weapon damage from Primary Bulwark, plus another 330% from Spectre Restoration. So yep, damage is no longer a concern at all. The rest of the weapon build focuses on crit chance, crit damage, faction mods, and whatever elemental combo you want. You can use a condition overload mode here, but diminishing returns are a thing and math is cruel. As for companions, literally anything works. I highly recommend something that can use Reinforced Bond for some fire rate, and Tenacious Bond for even more crit damage. I haven't tested Dagath with secondaries yet, but I'm fully convinced there's probably something even more cursed out there. Gameplay loop here is even simpler. Use 1 and 2 to spread doom, keep your third ability and evade active at all times, and just point vaguely into the enemy's direction. Alright, disclaimer time. This is a melee influence build. Balanced, as all things should be. We use empowered blades again because this time we really want as much status chance and damage as possible. For Helminth, we use Valkyr's Warcry for attack speed and armor, alongside Eternal Ward, so we never have to recast it because pressing buttons repeatedly is oppression. Arcane Fury gives us even more melee damage. If you want more survivability, feel free to swap Umbral Intensify for Umbral Fiber. Our melee weapon is Dual Ichor with Absolute Valor as a 4th evolution. Everything else is preference. For mods, lots of status chance, lots of damage, range and some base damage. To make these daggers work properly, we place the elemental combinations like this, so the innate toxin combines into viral, while electricity stays separate. And then, of course, melee influence, because legal consequences are optional if there are no witnesses. Gameplay loop, even simpler, somehow. Spam 1 and 2, cast Warcry once and forget it exists, use your third ability whenever available, everything near you evaporates, and yeah, very interactive gameplay. Now, some tips and tricks to make the gameplay smoother. Feel free to spam your first and second constantly. Even though your third allows weapons to spread doom, your first ability has massive range and auto-targeting, which means it basically plays itself. For both melee builds, heavy attacks make a huge difference. Tenukai mods lets you spam heavy attacks without losing combo, and while you can use whichever one you prefer, I personally found Discipline's Merit to be the most comfortable option. If you don't have a primary companion or weapon capable of applying 10 different status effects like the setups shown here, don't worry. Even a basic Sentinel with Corrosive plus Cold is more than enough for crit focused builds. Just don't run Viral on your companion or primer. Dagath already provides Viral herself. She's a strong independent Grim Reaper. Arcane concentration also makes the gameplay loop feel significantly smoother. And this video should be uploaded during the best treasure room rotation in Descendia, where you can max Roth Arcanes in under 3 minutes, so yeah, don't miss that, and I will add a timestamp or the date. Over here or over there, I don't know. Yeah, just don't miss that. And yes, I'm fully aware these builds are complete overkill. Feel free to sacrifice damage for survivability if needed. Dagath's base kit is already strong enough to carry ridiculously hard. That's a tough word for me to pronounce.
Phew! That was a lot of talking.
Dagath is one of those warframes that are too close if you care to do her kit and try to craft some